Hello guys, again in another video of mine, and this video it will be little bit scattered all over the place, so I hope you don't mind that. But first, before we start, if you're new in watching my video and you like the content of my YouTube channel, consider to subscribe. It's about 2 seconds to subscribe and it's entirely free, but with that action you're helping me a lot by doing so. Thank you very much. Reenactment events, and you might notice that in many of that events we fight with real swords. Of course, blunt swords, but real. We need to be careful. First of all, we use a plate armor often because this is the best option, and again, we are historical medieval reenactors and we make everything historical. Of course, our armor often is a little bit thicker than the original one, but we use historical armor. Often that armor is not sport optimized. We get injured very often. We need to have armor, but remember, the armor is expensive. Not everyone have a financial option to buy that expensive armor. So if you are new in that medieval reenactment, you're not sure you want to be in that hobby, let's say hobby, you don't know you will be investing money in that hobby, so you will go, for example, helmet, because if you get hit in any area of your body, you might survive. You might get injured, you will survive, probably. But if you get hit in the head, probably you will not survive. The first thing you want to get is the helmet, after that shield. And if you don't have money for a sword, for expensive sword, of course there is cheaper versions, cheaper options to get a sword. But often I recommend an axe or a spear, because the spear keeps your enemy away from you. First thing you've got will be the helmet. The second one is the shield, especially if you don't have a good armor, war armor, coat of plates or plate armor, you need a shield so they can hit something that is not you. And the last thing you will get is the weapon. Of course, in the second part of that video I will talk about the weapons. Let's talk about the armor. So, you don't want to invest money, or you don't have to spare. So, you will get a gambesson, which is the first layer of armor that the poor soldier will use. If you have gambesson, actually every hit will damage you. To protect your, for example, shoulders, elbows or knees, or hands or legs, you will use modern protectors. Keep in mind that the event is medieval event, so you need to hide that modern protectors under the gambesson or akiton, or if you use modern protectors, you will need to cover them with textile or under a textile leggings. This is a modern way to protect yourself and not get injured that easily if you don't have chance to get a proper or better armor, because we all were newbies in that medieval events, and in the first year or the first even 3 or 4 years we didn't have chance to get a proper armor. For example, I had the first armor that I have was chainmail, which didn't protect you from maces, hammers and so on. The second armor that I had was the war armor that I myself modified, and that was 3 or 4 years have passed from my first event. So at the third year I had a
a crippled person.
And actually then I got my first injury in the knee. If you don't have chance to get proper armor, or you still don't know that you want to do that as a reenactor and you just want to try it, the first option is to get helmet, shield, sword, or something more cheaper, and modern protectors. Here in the second part of the video I want to talk about for conditions that the weapons and the armor must cover so it be suitable to be used in reenactment event. Here in Bulgaria we have some rules. The weapons and the armor must be covered. The armor must be 1.6 millimeters thick minimum and to be hardened. Nowadays people got helmets, special helmets and armor that is often 2 millimeters thick and hardened to avoid injury, which is nice, but it's heavy and it's not historical. For example, if a knight wears 20 kilograms of armor, and if you as a modern reenactor wear an armor which is mostly 2 millimeters thick, of course it will be heavier than a medieval knight. For example, of course, all we do to avoid injuries. Nowadays we use mostly swords because they are safer than other weapons. Of course we have axes, spears and etc. But the sword is mostly safer than the other weapons because axes are brutal. Spears keep your enemy fort, but if you stab someone, that injury will be heavy. Because actually the stabbing attacks are forbidden, because you might poke out somebody's eyes, which is not nice, because in 4 or 5 years ago, actually one of my friends almost cut off my eye and poked it out. Actually was not pleasant. So the stabbing attacks are extremely forbidden, and attacks on the head are forbidden too. You can hit somebody on the head if you talk with that guy and he agrees, he can be attacked on the head. But in the mass battles, in mass fights, 10 against 10 or more, the hits in the head are forbidden. Well, I told you that the swords are mostly safe because they are with 2 millimeters cutting edge, because everything around 1 millimeters and under that are dangerous, and actually we can say that is pretty much sharp. It's not sharp, but it can give you extreme damage that will lead to injury. Of course, there is some forbidden weapons, for example, plows, maces. Actually, I use a mace 2 or 3 years on a row, but actually that kind of weapon is dangerous because it delivers a blunt force hit, which especially if you don't have an armor, it can be very dangerous. The next forbidden weapon are actually hammers or warhammers. Actually, the warhammer, I have one here. Warhammers are extremely dangerous because they are sharp in every part of the weapon, actually the hammerhead. Whatever you do with that hammer, it will damage the armor, it will kill you. That kind of weapons are forbidden. The stabbing attacks are forbidden. And the hits on the head is forbidden also. But we often hit ourselves in the head, and that's why we use a 2 millimeters or more thick helmet. Medieval reenactment fights and events when we fight, it's extremely dangerous. We fight with real steel weapons, sword, poleaxe, bill, spear, hammer, or mace. It's extremely dangerous, and we must protect ourselves. And we must protect our enemy, because our enemy is our friend. Keep in mind that the things we do, it's extremely dangerous. Of course, injuries happen without intention to be injured. I can make 1-hour video about the injuries that I've seen and I experienced, but maybe next time. That was for now, guys. Thank you for taking that time to watch the entire video. If you like the video, hit that like button on the right, share it with your friends, and also, if you're new watching my channel, I will be more than grateful if you subscribe. That will help me a lot. Bye guys, and see you soon.